All right, we are live. Let me just double check. Everything is sounding good. Welcome to another episode of the Black Tech Experience Stream. My name is Rami Pruitt. I am a software engineer at a FANG company. And today we're talking about many various topics. But one of the main core principles is that we're going to be looking at the new programming language, Gleam, which is built on OTP. If you're familiar with WhatsApp, which probably most of you are, it was built in Erlang. And basically, from my understanding, Gleam compiles down into the Beam VM, which is built for Erlang. Um, and so it is a language that is for scalability and use the O2P, OLTP. I'm not sure what it is, but that model was used to scale up WhatsApp and Discord. It is more friendly than a language like C++, and we're going to be taking a look at it. I've been thinking about building some side projects. I see a lot of people hyping it up, and also we'll be doing some reaction videos and talking about what I believe is the darkest things about working in tech. And you're going to want to stick around. It's coming up right next. I think we got somebody in here. If you can hear me, just let me know. I'm trying to do a sound check just to make sure that all systems are go. Real quick. That all systems are. Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. Um, but yeah, let's get into it. Who am I? My name is Rami. I'm a software engineer at a FANG company. I work for companies like Twitch, Google as an intern, Dell, and I have seen, and other companies that I will not name, and I'm not saying that these situations happen from these companies, but I have seen some very dark things in my day as a software engineer. And I'd like to let you know is anybody who's aspiring to be a software engineer, you're going to want to stick around for this because I think people paint this industry like it is all sunshine and rainbows. But anytime you work for anybody, there are always going to be downsides. And anytime you make a lot of money for anybody, right, there are going to be a lot of downsides. And so I would say one of the biggest downsides to being a software engineer is that the hours can be insane sometimes. Like, guys, I have literally worked 12 hours in a day for 7 days just to get chewed out by my manager. And I think that's pretty rare. Usually, especially if you work for a company like Google, right? Those things do not happen generally, but it still can happen occasionally. And you have to be flexible, or like, you think, let's say you make 200K, you get all the way to the top, like, you think that your life is complete once you get the job, but maintaining the job, making these people feel like you're somebody that they want to keep around for a long time, that can be a lot stressful. Like, the act of not losing the 200K, right? That's something that can be tough, as well as the work life balance, right? I talk about you working all these hours and you being stressed out. I feel emotionally unavailable to my family this year. And it's just because my job demands so much attention and energy to get right. And that goes into the work life balance. Like, I have hobbies after I get off of work, but during an intense project, I really don't have that same time to implement. I don't. It can really take over my entire life. And so there is no balance. As well as, I think another thing about the hours and the work life balance, the journey to getting a FANG job can be intense. It's not, nothing can prepare you for working in a company like Google. You, or a FANG company in general, or Netflix, if you were just straight out of a college. I think working in a startup can teach you about the intensity of being a software engineer and being responsible for services. At the same time, nothing can prepare you. And so it's kind of an elitist culture. The act of being a software engineer, it's like if you could just get at these companies and just work there for a year, then I think at Google, right? I think if most people could just work at Google for a year, I think the majority of people would be, or not the majority, I think a lot more people would be successful. If you look at Google's application rate, like 1%, they might interview 1% of the people that apply. And out of those 1% of people who do apply, only 1% actually get the job. And I think that is just a lot of fluff and luck. It's not, I don't think, if you look at a book, Gail Lakeman, she's the author of Cracking the Coding Interview. She says she would say most Google engineers will only pass that interview 50% of the time if they had an ample opportunity to study. And that should give you an idea that, these guys feel like, they might feel like they're better than you just because they got in, but there's a component of luck, just like to everything. It's not always hard work, is what I'm saying. And that leads me into my next point, which is another dark reality of being an engineer is the politics. What school did you go to? Did you go to MIT? Did you go to Harvard? Did you go to Georgia Tech? These things do play a major role in if somebody gets an interview or a job. Even though there are great talent I went to Fisk University and I went to Cornell, right? I definitely see a higher interview rate after going to Cornell. And I think that that's part of life. Like branding, going to a top school does probably has a significant probability that you are going to be successful, but that's not the entire story. And I've met some brilliant people who have gone to public schools who could probably beat out some of these elite Harvard people just because they haven't had it in life. If you look at Jensen Hung, right, he talked about, I don't want to hire anybody from Stanford because you guys have not suffered. You always win in life. Every time you put your best foot forward, you get what you want. Like, and the people who are really successful, the people who start the companies, are masters of failing. They failed so many times, people told them no, and they just keep going. And so the politics do play a part in that, but I do feel like if you work hard, you'll eventually get lucky. And then on top of that, team politics play a part in being a software engineer. Guys, I cannot even tell you how much your manager and your senior engineers play a part in your success. If your manager does not advocate for you, if he does not believe in you, he can really slow your career down. He will not give you projects that are important. He will hold you in a cubicle. And if he feels like, and if you have a senior engineer, right? I'll give you guys a story. So I was working with this guy, not going to say the company. I was working with this guy. He asked me, he didn't say do this work himself. I told my manager to tell me to do it so it wouldn't feel like it came directly from him. And so I started asking him about it. And I said, hey, can you show me how this stuff got started? Do you have an email? And he was like, he wouldn't let me see the email. He made an excuse on why he shouldn't see the email, probably because the email told him to do it and not me. So I worked over the weekend. I would work my Friday night. I was so exhausted. And then I got up and I checked and I did it again Saturday. And so this dude, he took what I did over the weekend, went to the meeting, presented, got the credit, and I worked over the weekend. And that's how sometimes your senior engineers can like really F up your life. Um, yeah, fuck up your career. I'm just gonna be blunt about it because if they know the game, they've been in the game a lot longer than you, and they understand when they did that. Like, imagine how much work he could have did while I was out there doing all the work, and so he turned in two people's work and got credit. And so this dude looks like a genius on paper, like, oh man, this dude is so productive. But behind the scenes, he is he just takes credit. And I have seen people in the industry. I have people who are way high up and they talk about how just being a straight coder and doing the work, you would think you would get a lot of credit for that because you do the hard parts. But that's not the case. People take credit for your work. And people, as you get more senior and up in the chain, you write less code. That way they cannot blame you for stuff. Writing code is tough. It's very hard to write code that doesn't have bugs in it. And I think that's why the more senior you get, the more senior you become, the less code you write so that you can just manage people. And so some of you guys I know for me, right? I thought I was going to come in and show my brilliance and make this cool app and everybody was just going to appreciate me and respect me and hand me like boatloads of money, but that's not how this works. It is a political game being a software engineer. I think respect. We got somebody in the chat. But yeah, it is a very political game, and you gotta play the game. Unfortunately, I'm not saying like you have to snake people to get to the top. I'm just gonna say being an asshole does help you get to the top. Working hard is a slow and humbling route, but it can be done. And don't forget to mention like the politics of your city. I'm from Memphis, Tennessee. Memphis, Tennessee is not known for software engineers, right? We have a negative stereotypical representation of the black male image. And getting jobs when I was in Tennessee was tough. Like people had no respect for me. And that's another reason why I wanted to get my master's at Cornell. But yeah, if you are not in a tech city, I live in Seattle, Washington right now. If you are not in a tech city right now, you are playing this game on hard mode. And you might think that moving to another city is just too much, but I'm telling you, it can really. I have conversations with people. I just hang out with people and they give me opportunities to interview with like DoorDash or whatever. And that type of stuff does not happen in Memphis, Tennessee, unfortunately. So, yeah, so much of your success, being a software engineer, so much of your success does not depend on your hard work and ability. But that's life. You'll see that in every industry. And so, my advice to you would be seek out mentors, go to programming meetups and befriend people, develop your social skills. A lot of success comes down to who is willing to vouch for you. We have seen people get jobs at Netflix because they know, not because they're a good engineer, because they have a specialized knowledge of a new tool and they knew somebody in California that was willing to give them a shot. And so another thing you could do is be a specialist. Don't just try to master everything. Like when I was a engineer, I was programming mobile apps. I was doing web apps. I was doing open source. I was trying to learn everything. Master a few key tools. Right now, I would heavily recommend Rust and using Chat GPT APIs. If you become the best in that, people are going to take notice. And at any company, when somebody has to ask you questions, that's a great sign. And so be a journalist. I think because I have a background with Google, like I always thought like being a journalist was the best thing. But I think there's another part of that story, which is a specialist will get you hired a lot faster, especially if you're in a developing language. And another thing you do, be an indie hacker. Indie hacker is just somebody who makes projects that get the money. If you guys know Peter Levels, he has a website. It's called Remote IO, and all he does is just post remote jobs. And this dude makes probably like thousands and thousands of dollars a month. I'm not even gonna give you a high number, but that is real. Like if you guys have a long understand, if you guys understand business, the programming is not that hard. You can pick, or you don't come up like I've had I had a cousin who told me he wanted to make this electrical umbrella that could like jump up in the air and spin around, and people could just walk, and it just saves them from the rain. I think people have these wild. I'm not knocking it, but like people have these wild ideas of what a software engineer could do, and that's why like having a little bit of programming experience and knowing what is realistic, like compare that to like just posting remote jobs on a website. Like anybody, a computer science student with 1 year of experience could probably do that. But they don't understand business. So be an indie hacker, get the side hustles, be a contractor. They're great ways to start. In conclusion, FANG companies are overrated. You don't need them to be successful. Don't fall into the trap of wasting years on leak code trying to please them. Find a mentor, go to meetups, be social. Maybe consider moving to a city like New York, Seattle, California, where the opportunity is more rich, especially if you can find a contracting job. And yeah, so much of success. So much of success depends on your soft skills. So please don't be the asshole who's just really good at one thing, because those guys get fired eventually. They have to move around. And that's it. Really appreciate you guys watching. I think we got some people in the chat now. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, I would love to answer any of them. I think we got a few people. We are struggle streaming today. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I am in a really tough period in my life. I don't know exactly what is next for me. I feel unfulfilled with my job, and I'm really considering becoming a full-time creator. And I'm glad that I'll have the opportunity to get to know you guys and connect and make things that you like and content that I really want to see and help you guys get these jobs. I think that is my mission, but I can't talk about everything that I have experienced at this moment just yet, but keep on the lookout for that. Hopefully this can be a great year for all of us. As I heard the economy is getting a lot better. Like somebody told me that they think Trump is going to get reelected, and if he does, they're going to bring back the jobs, which I thought was funny. I have no political opinions. I definitely do like a better economy. Yeah, it'd be nice. But yeah, let's look at some of these questions. So my guy says, respect, awesome, Tundu Slua. I don't know. I probably butchered that. My bad, my guy. Working hard and being diplomatic is not, and being emotional to work. Working hard and being diplomatic. Not sure. So true. 100%. Most don't. Nice ones. Success isn't linear, bro. Stay persistent. We'll triumph. All right. Yeah. So I think we got a few people in here. I was going to program. Actually, yeah, let's do some programming. Or I'll give you guys a choice. Do you guys want to look at some reaction videos, or do you want to see me look at Gleamlang, which is just a new language? And I'll pull that up at the moment. If anybody has any preferences, let me know in the chat. I'm actually been really excited to look at Gleamlang. Like, I think, yeah, just a lot of companies are trying Gleam. I'm not companies. Gleamlang just seems like it's loved by developers already, and a lot of people use like Discord and WhatsApp used, let's say, Erlang and Elixir, which is built on the same foundation of Gleam. So I'm really looking forward to doing it, but I imagine like a little bit of programming might not be as entertaining for y'all. But it doesn't look like anybody has any preferences, or some people are leaving out. Let me see. I don't want to do that. 1 second. I am going to share my screen. There it is. All right, let's take a look at Gleamlang. Gleamlang is a friendly language for building type-safe systems that scale. And if you guys don't know about type safety, my first programming language was Python. In Python, you don't have to specify what type you're using, and that's just like let's say we have a class car. Like, you don't have to say in Python. You can just name a variable and not say exactly what its type is, and that leads to a lot of bugs in production because you don't. It's so easy for programmers to write code that is error prone, and so with type safety, it does make it a better experience when programming. So yeah, let's read into it. The power of type systems is special functional programming, the reliability of highly concurrent, fault tolerant. And let's make this a little bit bigger. Oh my God. Let's make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see. And yeah, there it is. I have my tool, my handy dandy light up tool. The power of type systems, the expressiveness of function programming, and the reliability of the high concurrent fault tolerant Erlang runtime. So I was right, with a familiar modern syntax. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I really do not like programming in Java, but generally, like, that's how you get jobs. I think Java it has a lot of boilerplate. I'm not a fan. Sorry for that message. I'm going to put my phone on silent. Reliable and scalable, running on the battle-tested Erlang virtual machine that powers planet-scale systems such as WhatsApp and Ericsson. Gleam is ready for workloads of any size, thanks to the multi-core actor-based concurrency system that can run millions of concurrent tasks, fast, immutable data structures, and concurrent garbage collector that never stops the world. Your service can scale and stay lightning fast with ease. So I'm looking at this syntax. I'm not sure. It looks like there's some pattern matching going on. Yeah, I don't know. It looks funky to me coming from a background. I've seen Java, so I've seen that part. But these like squiggy lines, maybe we'll figure it out eventually. Ready when you are. Gleam comes with a compiler, build tool, formatter, editor, integration, and package manager all built in. So creating a Gleam project is just running Gleam new. And I think these things are kind of like underrated as far as the developer experience when these things are ready from the jump, because yeah, just when code is not formatted in the same way against different projects, it can be a pain in the butt to read. So as part of the wider Beam ecosystem, Gleam programs can use thousands of published packages written in Gleam, Erlang, and Elixir. So it looks like, yeah, you'll be able to. I hope you guys cannot hear some of the noises coming on from outside. Let me see. You can give it a second. Here to help. No null values, no exceptions, clear error messages, and practical type systems. Whether you're writing new code or maintaining old code, Gleam is designed to make your job fun and stress-free as possible. Yeah, null values is interesting. Like, you guys will see in production code, we always check to see if it's a null value, because those things it's $1 billion error and it probably should have never existed. Multilingual. Let's see. Gleam makes it easy to use code written in other Beam languages such as Erlang and Elixir. So there's a rich ecosystem of thousands of open source libraries for Gleam users to make use of. Gleam can additionally compile a JavaScript and maybe use code in their browser. Anywhere else JavaScript can run. It also generates TypeScript definitions so you can interact with Gleam code confidently, even from the outside. So yeah, looks pretty cool. Let's give it a try. The tour covers all aspects of the Gleam language, and assuming you have prior programming experience, such should teach you everything you need to write real programs. In Gleam, the tour is interactive, the code is editable, and will compile and evaluate as you type. Anything you print using IO print or IO debug will show you at the bottom section, along with the compile errors and warnings. To evaluate Gleam code, the tour compiles Gleam to JavaScript and runs it. All entirely within your browser window. If at any point you get stuck and have any questions, do not hesitate to ask the Gleam Discord server. So it looks like they do have a little bit of a community. Let me take this off. I didn't even realize. And we're going to change it up. There we go. We're going to make it like that. And we're going to make this. Man, guys, I'm buying a micro creator so that I can do some of this switching a lot faster. I'm going to make this a lot bigger. All right. Yeah, just let me know in the chat if you guys cannot see anything and want me to make it bigger. But we'll be shown at the bottom section along with any compile errors, warnings to evaluate Gleam code, your compile Gleam. If at any point you get stuck and have any questions, hesitate, don't ask. Okay. So IO.print is cool. Like it's a very tiny hello world example. And let's go to the next. Here's a tiny program, hello show. IO print, Gleam run. In a normal Gleam project, this would be run using Gleam run on the command line, but here's the tour, program, compile, run inside your web browser, allowing you to try Gleam without installing anything on your computer. Try changing the text being, yeah, let's just say hello, Rami. Oh, okay, that's cool. It just updated all on its own. I like these more. I like when you can just learn a language like this. It's just running all by itself on its own. All right, let's look into it. Modules. Gleam code is organized into units called modules. A module is a bunch of definitions of types, functions that seem to belong together. For example, Gleam.io modules contain a variety of functions for printing, like println, println. All Gleam code in some modules and others whose names come from the name of the file is in. For example, Gleam.io is in a file called io.gleam in a directory called Gleam. For code in one module to access code in another module, we import it using the import keyword, and the name used to refer to it is the last part of the module name. For example, Gleam.io module is referred to as io once imported. The as keyword can be used to refer to modules by a different name. See how the Gleam string module is referred to as text here. I am not sure. Use a function from Gleam.io module. Okay. io.println and then okay, text.reverse. Okay. Just looks like modules kind of remind me of different packages in Java. I don't know if it or yeah, just different sub packages as keywords can be used to refer to a module by a different name. Yeah, I like that syntax. It's more readable when they have the as keyword. Yeah, let me know in the chat. What languages do you guys know? I would love to know to see if this is, it's a little bit different. It doesn't look like Java, but it's kind of pretty. It's on the prettier side, like Python. Normally, functions from other modules are used in qualified fashion, meaning the name used to refer to the module goes before function names with a dot between them. For example, io.print functions from other modules are used to qualify fashion, meaning, okay, so io is the, it's also possible to specify a list of functions to import from a module in unqualified fashion, meaning the function name can be used without the module qualifier. Okay, that's cool. I see what they're doing there. They just specify that they want the println function, and then they say println like that. It's best to use qualified imports as it makes it clear when the function is defined, making the code easier to read. Yeah, I definitely prefer this one over that. This is unqualified. Type checking. Gleam has a robust type checking system that helps you as you write code and edit code, catching mistakes and showing you where to take changes. Uncomment the line io.print ln4 and see how the compile time is reported as the io print line. Uncomment the line. Oh, okay. Wait. Ah. Oh. Okay. I think uncomment this line. They had it. Okay. You can't uncomment it with like control slash. All right. They're saying, hey, this is not a string. I appreciate that. Even though I would imagine that it should. Probably Gleam has no null, no implicit conversions, no exceptions. Okay, so that's great. It doesn't implicitly convert into a string, so we'll have to do that by hand. I like when things are what is the word? They are they are more more definitive. I like when things are more definitive like that. So always perform full text checking. If code compiles, you can be reasonable, confident it is not inconsistent with calls, bugs, or crashes. Ints, Gleam ints type represents whole numbers. There are arithmetic and comparison operators for ints, as well as equality operators, which work on all types when running on Erlang virtual machine. It has no maximum minimum size when running on JavaScript runtime. They're represented as JavaScript 64-bit floating point numbers. The Gleam int standard library module contains functions for working with ints. io.debug quality works. What is io.debug? Is it just like it's just going to say a boolean in comparison? Okay, that's probably for. Okay, what is io.debug? Int. I guess it'll print other data types. Clamp, int clamp, 5, 10, 15. Standard library, int max, clamp. io.debug. All right, floats, pretty much the same. Gleam floats type represent numbers that are not integers. Gleam numerical operators are not overloaded, so there's dedicated operators for working with floats. Floats are represented as 64-bit numbers. All right, seems pretty boring. Number format, io.debug. Ints can be written in binary, octal, hexadecimal format. Seems pretty standard stuff to me. Equality, equals equals and does not equals. Strings. Gleam strings are written as text surrounded by double quotes, can span multiple lines, contain Unicode characters. The operator can be used to concatenate strings. Several escape sequences are supported. All right, so it's looking a bit debug. The string values are looking kind of the same. Bools, either the true or false, and operator short chord, meaning that it's left hand side of the operator, true, false, and yeah, seems pretty random. Bools who string assignment. A value can be assigned to a variable using let. Variable names can be reused by later let bindings, but the value they reference are immutable, so the value themselves are not changed or mutated in any way. Gleam variable function names are written in snake case. In Gleam, variables and function names are written in snake case. Okay, so it kind of reminds me of Python. Assignment value. New. Yeah, debug, io.debug. It is what it is. Discard patterns. If a variable is assigned but not used, then Gleam will emit a warning. If a variable is intended not to be used, then the name can be prefixed with underscore. Silencing the variable is never used. All right, try. Yeah, I like that. Like in Golang, it's kind of just You can't set a variable that's unused, but I feel like that's a pain when trying to write code because sometimes you want to experiment with things. Type annotations. Let assignments can be written with type annotations after the name. Type annotation may be useful for document purpose, but they do not change how Gleam types check the code beyond ensuring the annotation is correct. Typically, Gleam will not have type annotations for assignments. Find types that wish to refer to. In this case, we need to import them. Like functions, types can be referred to as qualified. Way putting the import module name at dot for the type name, for example. Bytes.builder types can be imported as unqualified way by listing them in import statements with word types before the type name. Bytes builders don't do unqualified way. Type annotations. Let me see. String name. All right. Okay. You can explicitly set the type. Ensuring the annotation is correct. Typically, Gleam code will not have types annotation for assignment. Yeah, looks pretty cool. Types import string building. Functional import in an unqualified way. Referring to type in an unqualified way. Type alias can be used in to refer to type by a different, given the type alias doesn't make new types at this time. Type name always string with capital letter, contrast and variables. Functions will start with lowercase letters. When the pub keyword is used, the type alias is public and can be referred to by other modules. Okay, yeah. Type aliases, public function. Public type user ID. Yeah, looks pretty chill. I kind of like the language so far. So good. Very simple, very declarative. And yeah, I'm actually kind of curious about the concurrency of this system. I think that's what excites me a little bit more. I wonder if we're going to get into that. Blocks are used expressions to group together with curly braces. Degrees. Debug degrees. Fahrenheit minus 37 equals. Oh, that's kind of an interesting way to display an idea. Is it has a default type as Fahrenheit. Ooh, let's see what the error looks like. This will not compile. The name degrees is not scoped here. Yeah, it makes sense to me. But yeah, that's an interesting type, Fahrenheit. I kind of do like the way that they're structuring the information, like Fahrenheit minus 32 divided by equals Celsius. Um, Makes sense to me. I don't know. I don't know about you guys. Seems like you guys have left. Boring ass format. But hey, I warned you guys. Like you should have said something in the chat. I would have did some reaction videos. List io.debug list of strings types. Rally done is ready to write algorithms that indexing the sequences in Gleam. io.debug. Okay. Yeah, that's helpful. Public function. Original lists are unchanged. Gleam Boolean in the list is not the right choice of the data structure. Constants, io.debug, const, io.debug. Yeah, makes sense. io.debug, double 10, multiply, A times B. Higher order functions, Gleam functions are values. They can be assigned to variables, passed to other functions. Anything else you can do with values is being passed as argument to twice function. Notice the F. Are you going to try to get? Let me see. Higher order functions. Twice. A higher order function, passed function. Oh, okay. Yeah, very functional language like Golang. Kind of reminds me of that. You can have higher order functions that just takes int variables. My function add 1 debug my function 100 my function add 1 argument twice. Yeah, makes sense. Anonymous functions twice, 1 fn a times 2. Pass anonymous function as an argument to a variable, add 1 fn a plus 1 fn a times 2. We will triumph. Tunda. Tyrese. Function captures. Gleam has shorthand syntax for creating anonymous functions that take one argument and immediately call another function with that argument. The function captures syntax. Add 1. Anonymous functions fn. The functions can be written as some functions with a number of other arguments passed directly to the inner function. These underscores is a placeholder for the argument equivalent to a in the fn. and one be add one underscore. Oh, okay. I think I see what's going on here. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, a lot of beautiful syntax. A lot of really. I think one thing that let me take a note of this. One thing that I will say about Gleam is there seems to be a lot of very, what is the word, cool ways to write things. And coming from a Golang background, I find that I don't really like when people have a lot of different cool ways to write something because it's hard for me to understand and requires more time in the language. I would appreciate more boring code, but it is pretty cool. Maybe the flexibility is worth it in the long run. I'd have to do a project in Gleam to know. So we have generics. Hello.exam. How do we specify generics in here? Fn argument my function, some type of value. Any type variables are not like any type. They can get replaced with a specific type in the function is called try uncommenting twice dot exclaim. Add one. Here the variable is replaced by a string. So it looks like it uses functions to do generics. Is that right? To see compile errors when trying. My function. Argument. Ugh. Pipeline. IO debug. I don't know if I got that feature. One to the next with the regular function called syntax. This can be a little difficult to read when you have code. When you read and you have to read the code from the Gleam pipes operator, which helps you problem by allowing you to write code top to bottom, drop right, drop left, then debug. Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I definitely do like the operator syntax here. It is definitely more declarative. I don't know. Hello, Mike. Drop the one, then drop left 6. Hello, Mike. Oh, hello, Joe. Drop right and drop left. The pipe operator. What would this be? Oh, okay. Low. Okay. Yeah, that does make sense to me now. Yeah, the pipelines sounds pretty cool. Label arguments. When functions take several arguments, it can be difficult to remember what the arguments are, what are they expected in. To help with Gleam supports labeled arguments given to external labels in addition to internal names. These labels are written before the argument name and its function definition. Labeled arguments are used to order to argument does not matter, but labeled arguments come before the labeled arguments. There is no performance cost. Uh, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's interesting. Add, multiply. Yeah, it's cool. I think it's a little bit overkill, but yeah, definitely seeing a common theme in Gleam that things look just a little bit too pretty, in my opinion, coming from a Golang background, where people think that um, where just a lot of cool ways to write things, and you can write things that don't really like make sense from a read standpoint, but that compiles very well. So that's my only criticism of Gleam. Actually, I'm gonna do a close up. Yeah, just to say it again, from my first impressions, my first 30 minutes in the Gleam, everything looks really pretty. I would, coming from a Golang background where things are more readable and boring, I appreciate that because it makes onboarding into a new project easier. And Gleam has a lot of cool, pretty ways to do things when the boring ways make things a lot faster. So that is my criticism from looking at Gleam. Mm, I hmm, cool case expressions. So yeah, this is one of the cooler things that I wanted to see about Gleamlang as well is the expressions. People talk about the pattern matching in Elixir. Let's look into it. Allows programming to say if the data has a shape, you run this code. Process pattern matching Gleam performance is also checking. So for the new person who has just joined, we are looking at Gleamlang. And right after this, we'll probably get back into reaction videos. If you're bored, if you have any questions, you can let me know. But yeah, it's going to be probably looking at Gleamlang for the next 30 to 40 minutes. In case expression covers all possible values. With this, you can have confidence that your log is up to date. Other. So I guess if we have 3, What I have not seen so far is a for loop. What I have not seen so far in my first 30 minutes of programming with Gleam is a for loop. And um, what I have not seen so far is a for loop in Gleamlang, which would help me understand how some of this stuff works, but hopefully we'll see it coming up next. Variable patterns, case results int random. Debug, get name. Oh. Any string that starts with that. Okay, cool. So it has a lot of pattern matching. List the values to contain can be pattern matched, and in case expressions list patterns match specific links in the list. Okay, list patterns can match unless specifically list starting of two elements. So I was right. Gleam does not have traditional for loops, and you see that in pretty much every language. It has recursion, which is kind of a pain to learn. I don't know. I think it's more, you definitely do learning it in your first year of programming if you go to a traditional university, but it can be kind of a pain to explain or understand. And so I think I'm comfortable with reversion. I spent a lot of time working on it. I spent a lot of hours practicing leak code, and it never came up, or maybe not never, but yeah, cool thing to know if you're into programming. Let's see. Let's get back into look. Gleam does not have loops. Instead of iteration done through recursion, that is enough the top level functions calling themselves with different. Is this working? Yeah. Recursion functions need to have at least one base case and at least one recursive case. Base case can return a value without calling the function again. And a recursive case calls the function again without different inputs looping in. The Gleam standard library has functions in various common loop patterns, some of which will be introduced in later lessons. However, from a complex loops, minimalist recursion is often the clearest way to write it. Recursion can seem daunting or unclear at first if you have more familiar with the language, the special looping features, but stick with it. Time will come become just as familiar as comfortable as any other way of iterating. So yeah, it has factorial. Yeah, they have the base case if it's 0, 1. If it's any other case, then just keep looping down. And so, yeah, I can see that as pain, but yeah, recursion is uh fine. I don't know. And then they have tail calls. Accumulator. Not sure what an accumulator is. Hmm. Mm. Hmm. Gleam first list. Yeah, seems pretty straightforward. Rest total plus first. We get first. How does first and rest come up? Mm. Huh. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Zero, zero, both are zeros. First is zero, second is zero, neither is zero. Yeah, seems cool. Case. The results, debug XY. Inside random out of two numbers. Mm, I guess it's pretty cool. The as operator is used to assign subpattern as first. Huh, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Um, first, uh, variable first. Mm, what is up, whoever is in here? If you have any questions, you can let me know. Currently looking at Gleam. Probably in the next 20 to 30 minutes, I'll be doing more reaction style content. Or actually, yeah, if you let me know if you have any questions or if you want me to switch over, I'll do it. Just let me know. Tuples. Triple. Some tuple. Wild types. Wow. Weather. wonder what this dude is looking at. Records. A variety of custom types can be held, other data types within it. In this case, the variant is called a record. The field is record. Teacher. Sounds like a regular class to me. Teacher. Some type of subject. Student. Okay. School person. That's interesting. All right. Record accessor. We got some more people in here. Let me know what's up if you all got any questions. Let's see how long is this contents. Data types, standard library, advanced options, sugar. All right, let's just go ahead and end it there for today. Let's do this. All right, my first impressions on Gleam. Would I use it for a side project? I think the learning curve is going to be a little bit painful for me coming from a more traditional looping language. But I do think Gleam has a lot of potential and I'm looking forward. I really do want to try it. I have an idea, guys, of making some chat GPT type apps that can go on the App Store. And I would love to use this just to see and play around and learn something new. And so, yeah, if you, just like I said earlier in the video, becoming a specialist in one thing can really help you get a job. I do think Gleam is on the way up. And if you love Discord, if you love WhatsApp, you want to make projects like these, I think it's a great language to bet on in the future if you're risky. But that is it. Let's get back into, I'll probably do the rest offline. Deprecation, flow control, guards, data types, records, nils, bit arrays, advanced features, users, panning, assert, external, multi-targeting. Yeah, probably do a little bit off screen, but let's get into some more reaction style content. Where am I? Oh my God. Okay. I was like, I thought I ended the stream on accident. But we're going to remove that and we're going to add all right, guys, and let's make another one. We are talking about Degenerative AI, the recent failure of artificial intelligent tech. I thought it was really cool. I wanted to save it for a reaction. I saw a little bit of it, but let's hop into it and see exactly what it's about. So we're gonna load it up.
Let's see what we got in this fridge.
What's a recipe?
Yesterday-ish.
And oh shit. Oh, there we go. Let's do that. Not that. We'll make it full screen. And let me guys know if you can hear it in the chat.
Elon raised $6 billion for his linear algebra company, XAI, then predicted artificial general intelligence surpassing humans will be here by next year.
Anybody can hear that? That's a lot of potential, and I'm looking for it. Yes. I really do want to try it. I think nobody wants to say anything. I think you guys can hear it. It doesn't look like my phone is sticking up.
Moments later, Meta's chief.
All right, we're back into it.
AI wizard Jan LeCun joined the chat to roast Elon on his own platform, basically implying that his predictions are insane. Elon clapped back, casting doubt on Jan's science abilities. Then Jan was like, "Dog, I've published 80 technical papers in the last 2 years. How about you?" Elon was like, "That's nothing." And then Jan was like, "Well, if it's not published, it's definitely not science." And then Elon's all, "This is one of the dumbest things anyone has ever said." At which point Jan gave him the elitist definition of how science works, thus concluding one of the dumbest debates of all time between two of the brightest minds in technology. Jan and Elon may not agree on the definition of science, but they also disagree on the future of AGI. Elon says it's about to come, but Jan thinks it may never come. Some say that AI is not even real. It's just the greatest marketing scam ever pulled by the linear algebra industry. And in today's video, we'll look at 5 recent examples that are both hilarious and terrifying of when linear algebra goes wrong. It is May 30th, 2024, and you're watching the Code Report. First up, we need to talk about Stability AI, which might need to be renamed Unstable AI. And that's unfortunate because it's a far more open AI company than its competitors like OpenAI, and they create the best open image models out there like Stable Diffusion. It's raised a lot of money, but recently failed to raise more money at a $4 billion valuation, and they're spending money like crazy. In addition, its founder and CEO recently announced plans to step down and said you're not going to beat centralized AI with more centralized AI. This is the same guy that said in 5 years there will be no programmers left. The unfortunate reality.
Yeah, do you guys think AGI is real? Like, I don't know. You definitely see a lot of the bigger companies looking at AGI like it's going to be something serious, and I'm thinking more on Yan LeCun's side.
Reality is that you need billions of dollars in cash to burn through to train these large foundation models. Stability AI is not like Microsoft, where they rake in billions of dollars every month selling a subpar operating system, and if it doesn't come up with a way to generate a lot more revenue fast, it could fail. My only hope is that they release Stable Diffusion 3 before that happens. Before we go any further though, I want to tell you about an amazing tool that every programmer should know about called Codium, the sponsor of today's video. By now you've probably heard of GitHub Copilot, but what if there was a better alternative with all the same features that was completely free for individual developers? It sounds too good to be true, but if you don't believe me, install it on any editor right now, then hit Control-I. You now have the ability to write code with AI using a model that's trained on permissive data. It can easily refactor and explain existing code, but most importantly, it understands context. It'll automatically take into account the context of open files and the current Git repo, but this context can also be customized. You can choose other files, directories, and repos to guide the AI to the proper code style and APIs for your project. And it's just flat out fun to use. Use Codium for free forever with no strings attached using the link right here. But now let's get back to failures like Google Search AI. This weekend I was making a
I feel like there's some. He said there's no perks for him, but I bet there is.
Pizza, but the cheese was falling off. So I went to Google to see what I could do about this. Gemini, in its infinite wisdom, it told me to go ahead and add 1/8 of a cup of non-toxic glue to the sauce to give it more tackiness. And I had to learn the hard way that this is not a great idea if you're concerned about diarrhea. Also, don't ask Google AI about depression or homicidal feelings. It just
Oh my God. Oh. You saw how it said like one Twitter user suggested jumping off a bridge or something?
I have a little secret to let you for it. Speaking of the way front run, however, in order to do that, now most pure Google search on that one, but luckily it's not a great idea if you're concerned about diarrhea. Also, don't ask Google AI about depression or homicidal feelings. It just
There are many things you can try to deal with your depression. One Reddit user is just jumping off a Golden Gate Bridge. That's wild.
trust me on that one. But luckily, I have a little secret to let you in on. If you go to Google search and then add this URL parameter of UDM14, you can go back to the old Google search before it panic implemented AI everywhere. It's just pure Google search where your only worry is being bombarded by advertisements. Speaking of ads, the world's most notorious data harvester, Meta, is also a frontrunner in the AI race. They've given us some great open models like Llama. However, in order to train these models, they need a lot of data, and they want to use Facebook and Instagram user data to do that. Now, most people don't want their personal information devoured by AI, so in true Meta form, they create a policy that collects your data for AI by default, then provide a convoluted way to opt out of it. You have to find and fill out this form, which requires a written explanation, then request a one-time password to finally submit it. They want to cover their asses legally, but also really don't want you to opt out. And I 100% guarantee there will be a useless Senate hearing about this in the next couple of years. But our next major failure failure is a 2-for-1, including the Humane Pin and the Rabbit R1. The Humane Pin, which was famously obliterated by Marcus Brownlee, spent 6 years developing this thing in stealth mode while raising $230 million. And now they're...
Would y'all have anybody used the AI pen? I'm just curious. Asking, I did it again. I need that switcher, man. Anybody use that AI pen? Is it worth it? Do you think that's the future? Like, yeah.
and password to finally submit it. They want to cover their asses legally of the Senate hearing about this in the next couple of years. But our next major failure is a 2-for-1, including the Humane Pin and the Rabbit R1. The Humane Pin, which was famously obliterated by Marcus Brownlee, spent 6 years developing this thing in stealth mode while raising $230 million. And now they're trying to find a sucker to buy this company for $1 billion. The Rabbit R1 is a similar useless product, which I criticized a few months ago because you can do the exact same thing with an app on your phone, but I had no idea how deep this scam actually goes. I don't want to give away the details, so check out CoffeeZilla's video on that.
It's built on a scam.
And finally, that brings us to number 5, GPT-5. OpenAI recently announced that they're now training GPT-5, a new frontier model that will, quote, bring us to the next level of capabilities on our path to AGI. And that statement is extremely disappointing because if you read between the lines, it means that AGI has not been achieved internally, like everyone was speculating a few months ago when Sam Altman was fired. This week, one of the former board members spoke out about why Sam Altman was fired, and it had nothing to do with AGI taking over humanity. Apparently, Sam Altman was outright lying to the board.
Why you always lying?
And as of this week, he's now the head of OpenAI's new 9-person safety committee. But it makes you wonder if all this pontificating about AI safety is actually just a lie. If fear keeps the hype train going and opens the door to things like regulatory capture and ultimately more money. Artificial intelligence is no doubt a useful tool, but the greatest trick linear algebra ever pulled was making humans think that large language models are actually intelligent. This has been the Code Report. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.
Yeah. I would say my thoughts on the video, tech is dead. No. We were talking about degenerative AI. Yeah, I think AI is a lot of, I don't think it's a scam. I think I'm really excited to see what we're going to do in the next 3 to 5 years. I don't think we've reached the limits yet, but I think the public is going to reach the limits and understand that this stuff is not necessarily like a genie. I think people have this idea of AGI like it's just a genie to call upon and it's going to make our lives obsolete in 5 years. I'm not sure if I agree with that, but let's wait and see. You never know. Like, I have nothing to say. And I guess that concludes my video on degenerative AI. But now let's get into tech is dead. I'm done. The Tech Lead always has a spicy take on tech. I'm here to set the record straight. I don't know. We'll see. We have to get into it and take a look. But I'm going to switch over.
All right, poor people.
Give me a sec. I also want to make sure that you guys can hear it. Give me a sec. I also want to make sure. But it makes you wonder. Okay, you guys can hear it. Let's do it again. We are live and we are talking about Tech is Dead. It is the Tech Lead. He has a lot of different hot takes in the industry. I'm curious to what he's talking about. Tech is Dead. Tech seems very alive to me. So we're going to have to take a look and see exactly what he's talking about. And if you have any questions, let me know in the chat. I'll be happy to answer anything. But let's get into it.
I'm back. That's right. Here to provide you my worldly wisdom on how to become successful, make some serious money out here. And the first thing to understand is whatever it is you're doing, just stop. Right? You may have noticed I've stopped. I've stopped doing anything productive. Over the past few months, I haven't released a single video because I just realized that it's just totally pointless to try to do anything nowadays when the government is inflating massive amounts of money, right? Like you're out here trying to earn your dough, and then the government is just printing billions, trillions of dollars out there, just making this money out of thin air to dilute your work. They're just extracting all of your value. So why even bother? Why try? It's a lot like being on the Titanic and then trying to study Java while the ship is sinking, or rearranging chairs, doing your lead code, and just stop. Right? Just stop. It's over. I know we all feel this need to try to be productive, work hard, hustle, grind. We're addicted to the pain, the struggle of putting in the hard work, but sometimes you mistake motion for action. And in this world of ADHD, the best thing you can do, the contrarian move, is to just do nothing. Just stop moving. Can anybody just do that? Hold still. Because the more you move, the more energy you're going to waste and the faster you're going to die. You're wasting your own resources out here. You're going to have to pay more for food. So you may be wondering what's new. Nothing. Absolutely nothing is new around here. I've been sitting around doing nothing, just staring at the blank screen all day. Because there's no work to do, really, except to just wait. I'm waiting for Bitcoin to get to $1 million, actually, because it's my only salvation around here. It's the only thing that can save me. And I've recognized that fact, whereas you have not. Many people have not. And they're still out there pretending, trying to struggle, trying to do something just to keep themselves busy. You can work or not. Doesn't really matter. It's really optional. It's not going to move the needle here, though.
I really don't know how this man makes so much money off these videos. It's really insane to me. Like, as somebody who's a up and coming creator, I can't wait for the day I can just get on and ramble and people will listen, but not today.
The most important thing when you're sinking on the Titanic ship is really your positioning. You want to get to a life raft, if at all possible, because the whole ship is done. And look, I get it. I've been gone for a while. And you may be under the impression that I've just been slacking off around here with the lack of any new video content. You may think that I've just been hiking the Hawaiian Islands, going on Mexican cruises, or exploring Japan like I am now. And well, I suppose you would be right. But you would be highly mistaken to think that I'm unproductive. In fact, I've been more productive than I've ever been in my whole entire life, more productive than most programmers, certainly. What have I been doing? I have been huddling, diamond handing, which is an incredibly difficult skill because it requires me to read news, reread news, and continue to convince myself to just sit still and do nothing instead of trading, buying, selling, getting in and out of positions. Sometimes the best thing to do is to just do nothing. And yes, that is considered work as well. It's not about how hard you work, but about how smart you work. Don't be addicted to your own pain and suffering. It is not required and certainly not a prerequisite to success by any means. In fact, the path to success is often fun and easy.
Let me show you how we do stuff.
Bro, what is this dude talking about, bro? I don't understand how this video has. Let me see. I'm gonna take this off while I look at while the ad plays. But my man Tech Lead is flexing on us. He feels like a rapper to me. Like, dude, it just talks. I'm not a fan. I probably wouldn't watch this if it wasn't for the content, but the YouTube algorithm, the YouTube genie said this was something that I should look at. Is tech dead? There we go. Let's get back into it.
Notice how everyone seems to tell you to work hard, grind harder, put in the hours, wake up early, but nobody ever tells you what to actually work on, except to maybe go to the gym and somehow this is going to make you successful. Because nobody knows what to actually do. There's nothing to do. There's no actual work for anyone to do around here. What do you want me to do? Build you a little app? Some little stupid mini game? In-game monetization? Microtransactions? You want me to make you a blog? And this idea of work was really a figment of the last era. But hard work never equals success. You see, I know you. I understand you programmer tech bros out there. Disgusting know-it-all scumbags. We're the same, actually. We're not. I'm way better. The world is now flooded with computer science degrees. Everyone's got one. I think computer science graduates have tripled within the last decade, and companies are now laying everybody off because they just don't need these useless degrees anymore. And what's really happened actually is we've moved on from the knowledge economy. Rationality, merit, science, none of these things really matter anymore.
I think so. It's kind of funny to me. Like, you see me talking about hard work doesn't matter. It's like I see a few points. Like, he's saying the truth, but he's like mixing it up in a hot take, kind of like Andrew Tate style. But I still, I think his point is just saying is like take a step because the economy is bad. And guys, the economy has been bad for many. Like, the economy goes in cycles, right? And there were still many opportunities for people to get hired after that. So I don't know exactly what he's talking about. Like, until AGI comes along, and you guys haven't seen, we just watched a video about how people are saying AGI is not smart. It's telling people to jump off a bridge. And so AGI, well, AI is bullshitting, and we don't know when that bullshit will go away. So I wouldn't panic just yet. But back to the video.
In today's era, actually, we're entering this post-science, late-stage capitalism era where mostly it's just about power. If you have power, then you get what you want, and screw the science, right? Ignore that. You can manipulate the data. By now, people have realized how to game the system in order to achieve the results that they desire. And beyond that, what's really happened is I believe we have reached peak technology, actually. We invented what is essentially digital drugs, digital opioids, which is like short form video, TikToks. And that has really obsoleted the need for any future technological innovation. People don't need any more apps or games when they've become couch potatoes. What more do digital drug addicts need? After all, they're totally content stewing in front of their videos. And these short videos and TikToks really provide people with everything. They tell them how to think, what to do, where to go, what to buy. And so what's happened is, even with something as innovative as Apple's Vision Pro VR goggles, with all of that technology, nobody even cares anymore. Because we've moved on past the knowledge economy. We are now in an attention economy where the number one skill is not STEM. Nobody cares about STEM. The number one skill is your ability to gain attention, right? To draw attention in this world. And if you're able to do that, you'll be able to succeed in the new attention economy. If you can't, if all you know is
He's telling us right here, like, it's not about the value that he's giving. He's just like, I can hold your attention by saying things that kind of piss you off a bit. And I don't know, it may be, it's working for him. It looks like it since I'm watching the video.
STEM degree, right, science or something, then you're going to fail. Nobody cares about that. Science doesn't even matter. Nobody cares about the science. It's totally fabricated. Nobody believes any of the science or data or any of the research papers. Science has become a means of manipulation. Just trust the science. And yet there have even been recent reports of 11,000 peer-reviewed scientific papers being retracted as science has faced an existential crisis. More than 70% of researchers have tried and failed to reproduce another scientist's experiments.
Targaryens are gone. Burn them all!
What's with these commercials, man? Let me turn that off. But yeah, it's technically right. I don't know. Let me know in the comments, but it just sounds like a bunch of bullshit, to be honest. Well, I don't know. It's not, I don't want to say that in totality, but it's some bullshit.
Science is fabricated. You can check out The Real Anthony Fauci by RFK Jr. is this book that actually claims the entire HIV industry was fabricated to fund Dr. Fauci's little political games and corporate interests in order to funnel money to his friends. What matters more in this world isn't the data, but instead it's having some big influential celebrity voicing an opinion, and whatever that opinion is becomes truth. It becomes fact. And so that's why the little computer program you're working on out there, the little app or website or whatever stupid thing you're coding, is going to be totally ignored and nobody even cares. You see, what people should do is just relax and sit back like me. You could work, but you're going to get laid off one way or another. Tesla laying off another 7,000 people reportedly starting in June. What these companies do is first they hire you, and then they burn and churn. They threaten to fire you, making you work evenings and weekends, extracting maximum value, milking you for everything that you've got. And then you get fired one way or another in the end, and you lose the equity that you may have been building into that company. They just say, hey, you know what? We don't need you anymore. Sorry. Bye. Bye. And the other thing I think these tech companies have realized.
I think what he said is straight facts. That kind of sounds like my life, man. Like, oh man, like, oh, being a software engineer can be so elitist, man. And so much of this game is having the right manager and having the right team and having people that trust you and want the best for you. If you can't get that, your time in tech will be filled with pain and suffering, like he says. Burn and churn. So if you don't know me, I'm a trained software engineer. Definitely feel like some burn and churn is going on.
Is that with the COVID era and all of the remote work, companies realize that not only can they do remote work, but that they can actually just outsource all workers altogether to third world countries where people are cheaper and people work harder. Americans especially can't compete. No one wants to hire Americans anymore. The American workforce is expensive, self-entitled, lazy, fat, quite literally, and they tend to be social activists. Who wants that on their team? I suppose if you're truly foolish, you could even go to college and get yourself into massive student debt, and then try to dig yourself out of that debt through decades of wage slavery in a 9-to-5 cubicle, and maybe, just maybe you might break even or even turn a small profit before you find yourself old and withered away from a sedentary lifestyle. Maybe sick and diseased and having your savings destroyed with runaway inflation and ultimately discarded and replaced by AI or outsourced workers as companies burn and churn through their employees. I think there's just no more opportunity in the traditional 9-to-5 world. And so that's why I've decided to just entirely stop trying to be productive. In late stage capitalism, which is where we're at now, there is no actual productivity left anymore. It's a zero-sum game, and there's only one way left for anybody to make money around here, and it is good old-fashioned classic, and this is my favorite, scamming. And so we have fees, convenience fees, tips upon tips, 20% tips, 30% tips. Hey, just give more. Inventing wars. There are GoFundMes and charity donations for fake diseases like people pretending they have cancer. Dark patterns everywhere. Notice how every single iPad app is a monthly recurring subscription. There are credit card fees everywhere, speeding tickets for even going 5 miles per hour over the speed limit. They're not actually protecting the roads. They're not making anyone safer. It's just there to collect money for the government. That's what they're doing out there. Taxes going up without any apparent upgrades to any of the
Bro, it's funny to me that he says scamming, bro. Like, this guy seems so sleazy in the sense, like, he doesn't really care what you think about him. He's just here to say some hard truths and then ramble on. But I guess I'm still watching, and the haters watch this video, so it might be something.
Infrastructure. You've got hospital bill scams, insurance bill scams, HOA housing bill scams. Like with the HOA, sometimes you're paying thousands of dollars and there's no service. There's not even a yard. There's no amenities, nothing. And what is this HOA fee for? Oh yeah, right. They're scamming you. And you have to remember all of this is because we're in a stagnant economy. There's zero productivity. And whatever you're doing out there for your line of work, you just got to keep in mind it's not productive. And if you want more proof that there's just no more work to be done and we have reached a stage of zero productivity, just look at Apple, which just completed one of the largest buybacks in history where they had so much excessive cash, they didn't know what to do with the money. They couldn't find anything worth investing in, nothing worth research and development in. They didn't need to hire anybody. They just took that money and bought back their own stock. And I'll tell you what they probably should have done with that excess cash is just buy some Bitcoin with it. There was another company, some medical company, Simler Scientific, which they took their cash reserves, put into Bitcoin, their stock went up 28% right away. When we take a look at the overall tech landscape, the metaverse failed, Web3 failed. These could have been entire massive revolutionary industries that would have employed huge swaths of Americans out there. The whole industry was shut down by regulation. And so after that, we were eventually thrown back into the Web 2.0 era, a blast from the past of mobile apps, oversaturated, tired old apps. And there's just no more opportunity there. Not only are consumers tired of these apps and they're vegetating on videos already, but all of the APIs and data that these third-party apps would traditionally have relied on in order to provide services are now being shut down and blocked off for AI, right? No company wants to release their AI data anymore to anybody. And so nowadays, almost every single API is shut down and siloed off from one another to prevent the AI data scraping, thus incapacitating most third-party apps in the process. Now, some people are going to say, well, there's AI at least, right? There was a recent tweet by
I'm actually kind of like, it's kind of interesting. I did not know this, but yeah, I think everybody's stealing each other's data to make their new AI product. And yeah, perhaps when people come to the conclusion of what it is, then they'll understand. When they come to the conclusion that AI is not going to be all that useful for us, then there will be a big drop in the stock and the economy. But yeah, I forgot what I wanted to say about that.
as chief AI scientist who said, don't work on LLM. This is in the hands of large companies. There's nothing you can bring to the table. He says maybe instead you should work on some other next-gen AI system that lifts some limitation of LLMs. So I guess there's some opportunity there if you think you can bring about the next revolution of AI. Maybe get a PhD in that first.
This is why I stopped shopping on Amazon, and you should too. Don't spend another dime on Amazon.
Yeah. What is with these ads? I'll be right back. Oh, my bad. Let's get back into the video.
Past tech companies had global reach. Today, most tech companies have had their reach actively being blocked by other countries. Russia, China, the BRICS nations have raised their own digital firewalls. Tech companies are just not as profitable as they used to be, as they're now becoming domestic, local companies. In conclusion, some eras are just bad. Sometimes you just can't make money. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Tech is done. The STEM degree is done. Merit is done. Where nowadays working is like swimming upstream against the inflation and printing machine. I recently read the Bitcoin standard, and what I came to realize is that when the US came off the gold standard in 1971, it was quite the devious move actually, where through that, they unlocked the full value of the US GDP and household economy for taxation purposes. So whereas in the past, all they could do was raise taxes, but your personal property would always have value, it was backed by gold. Now they could just print and inflate all of the US GDP value away. And so now we're paying off our debt by issuing more debt, with the US national debt rising by $1 trillion every 100 days in some death cycle. So given that, how do we succeed in this world? Well, first off, if you're working some 9-to-5 wage slave job, maybe you should just stop. It's a total waste of your life. But I have 3 suggestions. Number 1 is,
I want to say that is completely untrue. He's saying if you should leave your job. I think this is a period, like the economy goes in periods of down and up. And maybe right now, you've seen during the dot-com bust, many companies were started during a recession, like Netflix, Amazon, were started from the dot-com bust. And so this is a good time to learn a new skill if you don't have a job and get prepared for the next market value. I believe AI is going to create a lot of jobs. And if you are interested in that type of thing, make sure that you subscribe. My mission is to help people ride the AI wave. And we're going to do that by getting people jobs, seeing how you can use the AI. It's not just for software engineers. If you don't know me, I'm a FANG engineer. I worked for Google and Dell. And yeah, I think tech has a lot of hope still in the future. So don't give up.
entrepreneurship. Now, of course, you're going to say, well, not everyone can be an entrepreneur. We weren't all made to be one. But you know what? People said the same thing about programmers as well. Hey, not everyone can be a programmer. And yet nowadays, everyone's a programmer. We just adapted to that. And so in the future, everyone may have to become an entrepreneur as well. And, we're not talking about some like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos caliber entrepreneur, but even small business owners, hustlers, grifters, blue collar workers like gardeners, handymen, dog walkers, they all qualify as entrepreneurs actually, and many of them make more than some software engineer, especially the laid off ones. And they're probably under less stress and have more free time as well. Now, this may be difficult, especially for those who have spent the majority of their childhood trained to be some 9-to-5 wage slave indoctrinated into the school education system. And even more weirdly, many of these people, perhaps including you yourself, still aspire to be some top tier wage slave, climbing that corporate ladder in order to achieve some fancy title or that corner office or that suit. But you've just got to give that dream up if you want to succeed in the new world. The second consideration is we're no longer in a knowledge economy or anything science-based. We are in an attention economy, media-based. Most apps these days have already been replaced by influencers, content, video. And I'll tell you something, AI is not going to succeed as well, in my opinion, in the world of influencers, because fundamentally there's no right or wrong answer. We don't live in an objective world. And so the right answer is whatever your favorite influencer or content creator tells you is the right answer. Whatever they tell you to buy, how to live, how to think, that is what you will listen to. You're not going to listen to ChatGPT. I mean, when you think about it, nobody even pays for ChatGPT Premium. They're starting to give that stuff out for free. And then the last suggestion, consider taking up a job as a Bitcoiner. Hey, it's not easy, and it's not for everyone to diamond hand and hodl all day long. It can be pretty tiring and tough, boring work. But it turns out, the more you study Bitcoin, the more serious you become at it, the more you're willing to hold, and the higher your profits will be too, or your losses. All right. Anyways, I got.
Did you see that smile that he had on his face when when it was over? He's like, I can't believe you guys are paying me to do this stuff, to just talk shit. So, yeah, I guess we'll end it there as far as what the tech lead is saying. In conclusion, I would disagree with him saying that the tech is dead. Like there will be no opportunities that AI is going to take everything, or I don't know, like whatever he's saying with like the future is going to be all influencers. I don't agree. But yeah, just like I said earlier, like we don't know if like, excuse me, we do not know if the tech, how well AGI is going to do when we see it make mistakes. Look out for a video with me reacting to ChatGPT 5 whenever it comes out. Maybe then, like, we'll know for certain, is AI going to push us into the next revolution? But promise you guys, keep working hard. Tough times don't last, tough people do. Truly believe that with all my heart. And so I hope the tech lead stops with all this tech is dead talk. But this is what it is. And we have one more video. We are talking about this can make AI actually useful by TechLinked. Not sure exactly what this stuff is about, but it showed up on my feed. I'm going into it really blind. Let me see, I'm watching a commercial right here. But if you don't know me, my name is Rami. I'm a software engineer. If you find a FANG company, have experience at Google and Twitch, I'm on a mission to help people ride the AI wave. If you're into that type of thing, let me know, subscribe or like, everything really helps the channel. We're on a push. Definitely tough times right now, but tough times don't last, tough people do. Let's get into the video. I'm going to put it full screen.
Find TechLink to be an enrichment in your life, I invite you to write a kind little comment below. When I'm all snuggled up in bed tonight, I'll read some of them to my cat. Then he'll have to respect me. In the wake of
That was so cringe. I don't know. I don't even know how you start.
An Oxford study that suggested barely anyone uses AI tools on a daily basis, 3 major AI companies have rolled out feature updates for their chatbots in an attempt to make them useful for someone other than coders and tech bros left over from the crypto bubble. OpenAI's ostensibly less evil cousin Anthropic announced tool use for Claude, allowing it to perform tasks and manipulate data. AI search engine Perplexity announced Pages, which will create research reports on any topic that can be customized, shared, or presumably handed into your teacher. And OpenAI just gave free ChatGPT users the ability to upload images and files and use custom GPTs. Those features were previously paywalled, which, as this fan points out, obviously points towards something special coming for paying users. Maybe ChatGPT could be our mom. They're gonna give us something so special like an AI mom. OpenAI also just announced ChatGPT Edu.
You know what? I just realized that this video has music.
Edu, which basically gives schools an
Yeah, I'm gonna stop this for right now so it doesn't end my stream. But yeah, that's interesting. Probably should have checked it beforehand. I apologize, guys. If anybody's watching in the end. But I'm not gonna take the chance for a strike. Yeah. We're gonna make that there. All right, I think we're gonna end it early. Really appreciate you, anybody who showed up previously. Yeah, life is a journey. I feel like I said earlier in the stream, going through some tough periods in my life, and I'm not sure if I should just leave my situation, but whatever happens next. And, life is a journey. So, but follow me on my mission to help you guys ride the AI wave. But other than that, I think we're going to end it here. Deuces.